My guest at this time is the star of Effy's Big Gay Brunch going down at GCW's The Collective. It's Effy. Effy, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hello. I'm sorry this is so unprofessional. I'm in my car, but I'm like running around like a crazy person this week.
It's all right, man. You're a busy dude, Effy. How have you, I don't think we've truly chatted since the pandemic has set in. How have you been handling everything? What is life like in your world at the moment?
I am more cautious than I'm like double cautious. And I know this is jumping into the gun, but like we had the whole speaking out movement. I find out I'm working with all these serial abusers, these terrible rapists, these people who are treating my coworkers and my supporters terribly.
Right.
And then we're in COVID. So everything is so fucky around me that I'm just like, I have to focus not only on who I'm around, but also how I'm around them because I'm in a pandemic and I don't know who to trust anymore. It's been mind-boggling, but I've been really busy, and it helps because I quit my job literally right before the pandemic shut the country down, and I was like, I'll just be a wrestler. And then that hit, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Sorry, can I say that? Can I say fuck, or should I just?
You can do whatever you want. There are no rules.
Okay.
That's fine. I guess there are rules. I'll draw the line at some point, but you haven't crossed.
Yeah,
Totally. So wait, like take a step back here. I was kind of interested to get your take. You're such a progressive, entity in the world of pro wrestling. The speaking out movement, did it surprise you, not surprise you? Were you aware of a lot of this misconduct? What was your reaction when you found out all these people around you were terrible individuals?
I had to do a lot of introspection because obviously I'm around a lot of these people, and you can go back through the cage match or whatever, whoever has the matches listed up. And I've been in matches with these people. The original Big Gay Brunch had David Starr and Joey Ryan announced for the show. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here going, people say that, they go, well, didn't you know? And, people would make jokes like, oh, Joey might try to flirt with you too much, or he might come on too hard if he gets drunk. But no one was ever coming out and saying, hey, this person sexually assaulted me. That wasn't the conversation. And so now I'm thinking, well, I was close to these people in a way because you'd spend 3 or 4 hours around them at a show. You'd have a match with them. You'd be around after the show. But you start thinking and you go, of course they want to keep me out of the loop because I kind of I'm a good person to say, no, they're a good person. I've hung out with them a bunch. Yeah. It's easy to cover your shit up with that. And we respect this secret in wrestling, right? Wrestling's built on the secret of wrestling. And because of that, I kind of figured out that maybe that's the only secret we need. And maybe we need to stop having all this sort of mysterious stuff going on backstage, because when people don't know who's in charge, when people don't know who's running things, when people don't know who to go to, it becomes a problem for everyone. And seeing COVID cut everything off and give these people the voice to speak, because they didn't have to confront abusers anymore. They didn't have to count on their abusers for bookings or for money or for flights. Like, there's so many things that are terrible about COVID, but without that pause in professional wrestling, we probably wouldn't have people actually speaking out and saying, hey, this stuff happened to me, and us being able to actually make the changes going forward. Not only are we having to make changes to make sure people don't get COVID at our shows, we're having to make these changes to make sure people feel safe and comfortable and aren't put in these situations at our shows.
Yeah, for sure. And, talk to me a little about how motivated you are. I hate to use the term safe space, but how motivated you are to create an environment right now for these performers where they can feel the way that you're describing at the moment.
I mean, beyond even the performers, it's really good to have that spot for the performers. And it's been over a year now. At that last Rise show in June last year, they had the Pride Rise show. Right. I cut a promo that basically said, hey, you're booking these people for Pride Month, and I get it, but if you don't stop, we're gonna take over and ruin your business financially. And I think a lot of people thought like, oh, you must be doing a run in, it must be a work. But what I meant was like, we're just not gonna participate in this anymore. We're gonna make sure people know that you're bad people. We're gonna make sure people know your views, and we're going to take that money away from you if you can at least act like decent human beings, or at least give the opportunity to people. Some people misconstrue and say, oh, well, he only wants LGBT people on cards. And it's like, no, but I would like them looked at in the same regard that a cis white male athlete is looked at, to at least set the playing field even and give those chances. And when we can't get those chances, we're now looking back at these other places and going, look what you missed out on. Look at how many people got behind this. When you create a safe space, financially you can benefit. You're not losing fans by being more progressive or more liberal or whatever it may be. You're actually opening the door for these people that would have never stepped foot in wrestling.
Yeah, 100%. And, we have seen, the women's revolution. We've seen the Black Lives Matter movement, have its effect on the business as well. And, you brought up what you said there at that Rise event, which I know I've chatted with you in the past about. But do you feel that LGBTQ plus agenda is being picked up the same way these other agendas have been picked up and run with in the past few years in pro wrestling?
I thought about it, and what it really needs to take is not necessarily just saying, okay, like we have a gay person on our show,
Right.
but sort of, I think we need to go around what the expectations of companies are, because I think if the companies see someone who is an LGBT wrestler, and I'm not talking about myself, I don't care if it's me, whoever it is, to kind of cross over without the necessity of a cable television show or without the necessity of a larger wrestling company behind it, I think that would at least show these bigger companies that, oh, the thing we were afraid to do, which was piss people off, is actually financially responsible.
Yeah.
And it might take that sort of punch in the face to see something they missed out on because they thought they couldn't handle something different or new. Seeing that make money when they could have had that opportunity, I think will wake people up, because it's the only thing that speaks anymore. I mean, why do you think WWE's in Saudi Arabia? It's not because they love the culture in the region. They're getting a fuck ton of money. If we financially force them into a position to use us, we're going to have the leverage. I don't just want to be given permission. I want to leverage back on you and go, look, you messed up. It's not vengeful, but it's now the pricing has changed and you could have gotten in on the ground floor.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I look at GCW these days and I see a promotion that I don't want to be contrite or whatever and say it's like the new ECW or anything, but it's an extremely influential promotion, right? We've seen wrestlers picked up. We've seen concepts from GCW, but you are getting the cultural rub here. You know, what does it mean for you to have GCW have your back and wanting to help you push this more into the forefront of what's going on in pro wrestling at the moment?
I think with GCW, the reason they've stayed so ahead of the curve is at no moment is GCW afraid to change directions or move towards something different if it's picking up steam or if it's hot or if they think it can be something that people would be entertained by.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death match in GCW, but there's also a lot of comedy and there's a lot of work rate and there's a lot of high flyers. When things are cool and over with people, it's easy to categorize them, but GCW doesn't necessarily do that. And they're sort of trying to say, hey, here's all these different weird things we all like about wrestling. Here's stuff we saw that we thought was cool, and we're going to now put it together. It's very collaborative. It's not one person going, we're going to have the gay show, and you're the face of the gay show, and here's who you're going to use. It's Brett going, how do we bring a show like this to the community? Who do we need to include? Who do I not know about? And letting him learn. And he's going, it's a financial risk for me as a promoter to put people I've never heard of on here, but I'm trusting you as talent because of what I've seen from you and because of what you've brought for me to show me a world that I'm missing out on. And having that trust in your talent, it's an incredible thing that you don't get everywhere you're working in wrestling.
Not just as a talent, but I mean, he's putting kind of the book in your hand too. You know, how hands-on are you? I kind of wonder that. You know, I see all these different cards and stuff, and I know Brett's got a brilliant mind, but is this your card up and down? How much input do you have on Effy's Big Gay Brunch?
I'll give you an example. I've booked everything on here, but it does have to get through Brett. And there are times when I have to kind of put, hey, here's why this will work, and here's why this makes sense in this context.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't think we should do the SGC match, which is one called Manders, AJ Gray, Mance Warner, and Matt Justice. I mean, four of the big outlaw independent guys in the world. My crew that I roll with that are tough as hell, and I don't have to get into stories. I said, why not put them up against these LGBTQ guys and girls and thems and theys who haven't gotten the chance on this public stage to show how tough they are, but I know it because I've seen it at these smaller indies. And he was like, it's just an 8-man. Nobody gets excited for that. And we announced that match, and he goes, man, that had way more juice on it than I thought. People really do get behind these people that I've maybe never heard of. Yeah. I was like, you're exactly right. And when you can do something weird and outlandish like that a promoter goes, I don't 100% think this will work and I wouldn't do it, but they trust you to go forward with it and then can see, hey, oh, you really were reading the room. Man, that feels good.
Well, so you talk to me about your crew here. This is a rough and tumble mix that you've got here. You said that you don't want to share. So is there a story you want to share about you and your friends that people would maybe enjoy here today?
Well, when we were in Indianapolis, I actually had a fan come up to me, and the Second Gear crew, as it is official, is Eddie Kingston, who's with AEW, so he's handling a lot of busy stuff, is Matt Justice, Mance Warner, Manders, and AJ Gray. And we sort of came together as guys who were looking at the landscape of wrestling and going, too many people are taking directions from people who don't know what they're doing. Too many people are staying really safe within the lines and not trying to paint big pictures. And too many people are missing the point of what we're trying to get across in wrestling. It's, hey, we should do a 30 move back and forth combo. That'll really get them run in. When really they want to see some big moves and some excitement. And we can bring them that technical. We can bring them all that. But sometimes you just got to go to the second gear. You got to go all the way to the top. Yeah. And this fan came to me and he goes, I love your faction, SGC. I go, dude, SGC is real. I was like, they can market it. They can put it on a shirt. They can put it wherever they want. It's Second Gear crew all the way. And it's when we roll into town, we know, like, we're going to push you to the limit. I'm going to look at you if I think you're doing something lame. I'm going to look at you if I think you're being lazy. It's all about giving it 100%, 120%, not just for the people, but for our own sake to know that, like, we're putting the craziest thing out there we can put out there. And I mean, you want to talk about going to second gear, look how much Eddie Kingston has done in AEW in what, 2 months?
Yeah,
like, it's incredible.
Yeah, no kidding, man. And like, just as a friend of his, what's it like for you to watch Eddie get this opportunity? I mean, main eventing, vying for the AEW World Championship feels like a fever dream, a little bit.
I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I can say, yeah, I'm friends with Eddie Kingston. We've had a lot of great conversations, but I also am a person who's watched wrestling forever and ever. And I'm still just like, there's something about Eddie Kingston where if he'd never gone to TV and never done anything, I would still look at him as this legendary person, this legendary outlaw, because he's always done things his own way. And whether that's like in Chikara or showing up in AEW, wherever Eddie Kingston goes, he's still Eddie Kingston, but he can fit the role to work on cable TV. He can fit the role to work in an audience that usually isn't used to cussing. There's magic to that. And that's something that you really look at and you go, you've got to be the adaptable performer these days. You can't just be one thing or the other. You've got to fit into whatever role they need. And look, he's talking, he's working tags, he's working battle royals, he's working main events, he's working title matches. The man will stick his foot in wherever he can. And that's how we make things work.
Well, let's take a look at your card here, Effy. 6 matches publicly announced yet. I know you've got a few just tricks, I guess, surprises up your sleeve still. I don't know when it's going to release compared to when you make those announcements. But we'll start here with Alley Cat and Jamie Senegal. Tell me about this bout. Why'd you decide to put these two together?
Well, okay, I'll be completely honest about this match. The original plan was to have Ariane Andrew versus Jamie Senegal. We had a different match set up for Alley, and it doesn't really matter right now. But we came to a point where Ariane wasn't available. She's doing AEW stuff. We started talking to more people. We said, it's COVID. And then I thought, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, have you ever even wrestled Alley Cat? And he was like, no, not ever. And I asked her, I was like, is there something with y'all why you haven't worked? She was like, no. And I was like, what the fuck? Who hasn't put this together yet?
Yeah.
And of course, it's the Gay Show that puts it together because that's where it needs to be. Because I won't say promotions, but I had a match with Jamie Senegal one time. It was promoted heavily. It was put everywhere. Posters, promos. We really put it up. And we got there and they said, y'all have 6 minutes. And I don't want that to be, okay, we got these fans to come see us. We got gay people to come out to wrestling, and they got 6 minutes of the homos and 3.5 hours of everything else. That's not what I want. So it's an opportunity to take 2 of these people that I know are top level talents who are typically put in funny stuff or silly stuff or whatever and say, y'all just go wrestle. There's no gimmick to it anymore here. You're a cat, I get it. You're a princess queen, I get it. But y'all are both wrestlers, and you don't have to dance around it here anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And with Allie, man, well, a couple things here real quick. Allie, are you surprised she's like taken to deathmatch wrestling? There's not a lot of women that like can do what she does. I'm always like gobsmacked when I see her rolling around in blood and broken glass and things like that.
I think for some of us, pain is therapeutic. Is all I'll say about that.
Okay, gotcha. And with
I think she's doing exactly what she needs to do for her heart.
Good. Whatever makes you happy.
That wasn't shady, was it? Okay, I'm just saying.
Ariane Andrew, I wanted to ask you about too. She's not on the card, but I did chat with her about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and she mentioned how getting ready for the initial Effy's Big Gay Brunch, she was really pushing herself to over-deliver, and I thought she did really over-deliver when it came time to go in the ring at AEW. Do you feel you got scooped a little bit here? Would you have liked to have seen her welcome back to the world of pro wrestling happen at your show and not the way it played out over in AEW?
Oh, I mean, definitely, 100%. And I'd love to see her in that capacity as a single star and coming back in intergender wrestling, technically.
Sure.
And I know that it's frustrating a little bit. There's no personal animosity. I've talked with her. We're good. Like, it's all water under the bridge. But I know with Jamie, they were working so hard with Ariane. They were going out to California. They were training together. They were working on so much together. And it's like, that sucks to have that pulled out, especially when you guys knew you had some cool stuff. And the expectation going in is like, oh, we remember this girl from NXT or whatever. She wasn't great, whatever. And seeing her come back and do that, like, on a big scale in a singles match with a male star and be able to hold her ground, I think would have been a really good thing. But we'll see what the future holds,
Sure. Dark Chic versus Still Life with apricots and pears. Now, I have not heard of this person because I was chatting with you. I went and found some Still Life with apricots and pears footage. She's incredible. What can fans expect from this one here?
So this, to me, like, there's more to this match than people understand. And I think it's good to get the story out. People who aren't familiar with Dark Chic is one of the founders of Hood Slam.
Right.
Dark Chic transitioned, I believe, around 2011. She now still runs Hood Slam. Literally, before COVID, it was 4 weeks a year. 4 weeks a month. So every single Friday, the Oakland Opera House was running packed shows for Hood Slam. And it was something where if you knew about Hood Slam, you knew about it, but they didn't care if anybody knew about it.
Yeah.
But for the longest time, she's been this sort of secret of the West Coast and kind of like the West Coast godmother of this alternative wrestling. And now I have someone like Still Life, who I've been able to follow their career for a while, and seeing Chikara fall apart and seeing how much work all those kids were putting into Chikara and seeing that pulled out from them. I mean, this is where they were training, where they were doing shows, where they were trying things out, where they were learning so much about their characters, to be able to kind of pull them aside and say, hey, you're good. Do your thing, keep going, keep doing this, and keep being weird. And to see that continue to pay off and have these new opportunities, it's a real East Coast, West Coast. I don't want to say they're both kind of visionary in a way, but they definitely have a very different way of looking at wrestling than most people. And what a lot of people don't know is Still Life is very, very inspired by Dark Sheik. They became good friends. And so this is a first-time matchup that, like, probably should have happened at Hood Slam, but I got to steal the scoop on it.
Good, dude. This match is awesome. Yeah, dude, you bring up Chikara, the Dark Cloud over that. Like, I know we already talked about speaking out, but, like, I feel so bad for those people, too. I had never heard anything other than, like, Chikara was, like, sunshine and roses and rainbows and everything, and then out of nowhere, Dark Cloud came through, and I just really upset. Now I'm upset thinking about it again. I hate.
I was upset more, and I don't want to dwell on this too long. I was upset more because finding out how creative is handled and finding out what Mike was kind of holding back from them being able to do, and understanding that it was his flaws that were keeping him from going to the next level. Because if I was in charge of Chikara, day one, what am I doing? I'm calling up every elementary and middle school and saying, can we host a positive wrestling thing in your gym to teach kids about bullying, to teach kids about being kind, to teach kids about standing up for themselves. Yeah. And I would work into that because you have a children's program. And now looking back on it, you go, maybe he was just trying to not get his scandal any closer to families and children. And maybe that's what the deal was. But I look at the Chikara kids, and technically Quackenbush owns all their rights. And I've told every single one of them, and I'll probably end up going to court for it. I go, fuck him. Use every bit of what you have, use all of it, and make him fight you on it, because he has no place here.
Oh my God. Well, good for you. I'm happy to hear you did that. I feel bad for Joey Ryan's accusers too. What a piece of shit that guy is.
I'm thinking about suing Joey Ryan.
You're thinking about suing Joey Ryan. Why is that?
Because I think he's besmirched my image as a consensual pervert, which is what I fall into. I've never non-consensually touched a person. I will speak about sex publicly. I do not have taboo speaking about sexual things. I will not put you in an uncomfortable position. I think by being featured now, there's a picture of me and Joey Ryan grabbing each other's dicks, right? From a match. It was a funny end of the match thing. I had no idea. And now that comes up every time he's been scandaled. I think Joey Ryan is costing me. I mean, it could be $20,000 a month. It could be less than that, but there's no telling how much money I would be making if I wasn't associated widely with him, because I was tricked as a coworker into believing he was someone he was not.
Get him. I think a lot of people would be happy.
We're talking to the lawyers to see what we can really do with it. But if he's going to go attack women for telling the truth, then he should get attacked back.
Yeah, no kidding, man. What a piece of shit. Anyway, it's a very candid interview. You got me all riled up.
Listen,
I'm trying to be objective here.
Let the dirt sheets read it up. I don't care.
That's fine. Well, 3 more bouts I wanted to get to here. Obviously, yours we'll get to wrap this up. But, man, Cassandro versus Sonny Kiss. I chatted with Cassandro about 2 months ago. It was one of my favorite conversations that I've been able to have. I know Sonny and he have like shared some space, I believe, at a Rise event before, but never got to like be in a match together before. I'm very excited for this bout. What do you think here of what's going to go down between these two?
You know, when you talk to someone like Cassandro, it's very easy to frame things in 2020, and it's very easy to frame things in today's time. And we talk about, a lot of times with the gay talent, we kiki and talk about what's going on. Hey, this person called me this in this promotion. This promoter was this way. You know, they used this bad language. I felt like I was, being spoken to wrong. And then you talk to Cassandro, and Cassandro says, they used to call me slurs and throw rocks at me, and they used to throw batteries at me, and they used to try to chase me after the arena. I had to hide and get away. And you go, how incredible is it that we've at least gotten to come as far, not that it's good that you're being called a slur, but that you're not being attacked by rocks and being paid to be a part of the show. And the people who paid to be there are attacking and trying to maim you. And I think now, I know Sonny's dealt with some of it. Being on TV, you're going to be in front of people who are ignorant and stupid. Yeah. And not only is it good for them to meet as sort of a, hey, here's what's going to happen in your next step, and here's how things are going to go down, but also in a way of like the old school, new school, global exotico extravaganza. Like, let's not forget, these are two of the showiest, wildest, most athletic people. And Cassandro, people are like, oh, isn't Cassandro older now? You can't guess Cassandro's age if you're watching them wrestle, because Cassandro is doing, I saw the match with Mercedes last year, doing dives out of the ring, doing giant jumps on the top ropes, just incredible for anyone, any age. And to see Cassandro still do that, it's magical. And I know, he said to me, he goes, I've never wrestled Sonny. And I go, I know. And he goes, I think this one's going to be real good. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear.
That's so cool, man. And I would, you know, I don't want you to give anything away here, but I would imagine with these two, not just an in-ring battle, could we maybe see a battle of entrances here between Sonny and Cassandro?
I think Sonny has to bring A-level entrance gear and energy, because Cassandro owns the room. When Cassandro walks in, full robe, full spectacle, you can't not be happy and excited.
Take it to Vegas, you know? All right, 2 more matches. The Twink Gauntlet here. My girlfriend was in just before we did the interview. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm getting ready to talk to Effy about the Twink Gauntlet. And she just laughed and, you know, accepted what she's got in life with me, I guess, here now. Why the Twink Gauntlet? I saw you got Jimmy Lloyd in this thing. Jimmy Lloyd is not like a twink. You know, he's
as we say with Jimmy Lloyd and Tony Deppen, they're checking out their options.
Okay.
The Twink Gauntlet is historical. All right. Do you know about the first Twink Gauntlet?
I don't. Please.
I'm going to tell you about it because it's historical. I think it was a year or 2 years ago. It doesn't matter when. Time Bomb Pro booked me to do a no-ring show in Fargo, North Dakota.
Okay.
And I said, can we do something weird? He said, what? I said, what if we do a Twink Gauntlet where you put me out there, you can bring in some younger green kids from Minnesota, from, you know, North Dakota. We can get them shined up, make them look cool, and we'll see how many twinks I can survive. So we do this whole match. I get through 5 twinks. I pin all 5 twinks. And then Cody Rice comes out dressed as a bear and taps me out after a few moves, taps me out. And I gave a speech afterwards. And I basically said, look, we're in Fargo, North Dakota. I'm wearing pantyhose, fighting twinks. Y'all don't even know what twinks are. But I want to make a point, because I got defeated in the end by someone who wasn't a twink, who was a bear, another facet of the gay community. Yes. If we box everybody in, we lose it. If we say you're just a deathmatch wrestler, or just a high-flying wrestler, or just a twink, or just a bear, or just a bottom, or just a top, we lose so much about each other. I turned babyface at the end after being a heel all night, beating up these twinks, and I said, we have to stop putting each other in these boxes. We are all people. We have to figure it out. So I wanted to do this as this big, they're 84% red voting in Fargo, North Dakota. And so to bring the fucking Twink Gauntlet there and bring a message of unity was hilarious. And I thought, okay, we have to go bigger. So now, because he talks so much shit, I said, let's do the second Twink Gauntlet and just throw people at Pero until he is dead. He always talks about, I'm so strong. Oh, I was in the All Japan Tag Tournament. Oh, I was in MLW. I'm a bear. I'm so big. I do CrossFit. Let's find out, Pero. I have so many twinks lined up and many unannounced twinks. I'm only going to announce like 6 twinks. The rest of it's going to be a free-for-all fuck fest. Pero will not survive the twinks. I will have him dominated by twinks. Maybe he can, but I doubt it.
My money's on Logan Stunt. You know,
Logan kicked me in the face one time, and that shit was not fun.
Well, he's like a karate man, right? He's got like legitimate.
He's a black belt.
Yeah, he's like very. He can go.
He may be small, but he can get that leg up here to the temple. My God.
All right. Lastly, here the main event. You, Priscilla Kelly. You know, it's always such a big honor. I feel like, you know, Josh Barnett picks Jon Moxley. Joey Janela's got Ricky Morton. You chose Priscilla Kelly here for yourself. Why Priscilla?
Now, with Priscilla, so you say like, okay, Joey picks Ricky Morton. That's like a dream and like someone he looks up to. You know, Moxley and Barnett. Barnett wants to sell pay-per-views. Of course, he does AEW guy. Me, I'm actually in a position where I go, okay, I've given the platform to all these LGBTQ superstars, and now I get to make a statement. And my statement is this. I look at Priscilla Kelly, and I see someone who's very similar to myself. We've both been involved in controversy. She was pulling tampons out of her pants. She was spitting in Darby's mouth in a match. I was beating up kids. I was talking shit about everyone. And because of that, there are companies who think we might be difficult to deal with. Both of us. Now, granted, she still tried to fill in the little box. She did the Mae Young Classic as, you know, PG Hot Topic Priscilla Kelly. She did the NWA, you know, with old Billy Corgan. That's great. She tried to go to AEW, something. I don't know. Here's the facts. I need Priscilla Kelly to wake up and find out that there's no money in television in the future. It's all internet. It's all streaming, and you have to give up this TV dream. And to do that, I'm going to put her through what I call a Too Hot for TV match, which is a match they could never show on TV. It's far too violent, far too sexual, far too many curse words, far too much nudity. And I'm going to make her fall in love with what she really is, which is internet trash like me. We're not going to be on cable, and nobody is in 5 years because that shit's done.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, Effy, thank you so much for the time. This was a breezy 25 minutes here. I am like on the hook for what you got going at the collective. Send us home here. What do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the interview today?
Well, obviously, I want to put over Effy's Big Gay Brunch. If you can't make it in person, please buy the fight stream. It helps me out tremendously. It helps me pay for all these crazy flights for gay people. But second, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like you're not worth it anymore, if you're feeling like you haven't accomplished anything, you can bribe me and I will give you an Effy award. All right? We've had them flying off the shelves. If somebody comes in your house and say, what's this beautiful bronze trophy? And you go, well, I want an Effy award. And they go, who's Effy? And you go, he's an international superstar. And he awarded this to me. And it's very limited. You can check that out on beffy.com. Not beefy.com. That's porn. beffy.com. You got to put the extra F or you're donezo.